Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board. Old Blue Eyes himself, a legend. But what about the people who grew up in the absolute dead center of that hurricane of fame? His three children. Nancy, Frank Jr., and Tina Sinatra. They didn't just inherit a famous last name, they inherited a world of expectation, scrutiny, and a legacy so massive it could either crush them or catapult them. Each of them had to figure out how to live and make their own mark under the colossal shadow of one of the 20th century's biggest stars. Did they embrace the spotlight, run from it, or find a way to reshape it? Their journeys are packed with incredible highs, heartbreaking lows, and a whole lot of drama. So let's find out what really happened to Frank Sinatra's kids. Number 3. Nancy Sinatra. First up is Nancy Sandra Sinatra, born June 8, 1940 in Jersey City, New Jersey. She was Frank's first child with his first wife, Nancy Barbado Sinatra. From day one, she was in the public eye. The family moved to California as Frank Sr.'s Hollywood career blossomed. Nancy described a generally happy childhood with early encouragement in the arts. Her mother was notably protective. The family dynamic shifted significantly in 1951 with her parents' divorce after Frank Sr.'s affair with Ava Gardner. The children were then primarily raised by their mother, though Frank Sr. remained involved. Nancy received extensive artistic training, years of piano, dance, drama, and voice lessons, even briefly studying at UCLA. This upbringing was a mix of privilege and immense pressure from her father's fame and public family dramas, which initially made it hard for her to forge her own artistic identity beyond the Nancy Niece Lady image. Nancy's entry into showbiz was helped by her father, but stardom wasn't instant. She debuted on his TV show around 1957 or 1960, and famously greeted Elvis Presley on his 1960 Welcome Home Elvis special, duetting with her father. Signed to his Reprise Records in 1961, her early girlish pop singles failed in the US, though she found some popularity abroad. Her songs were often in keys too high for her natural range, reinforcing an inauthentic persona. Her marriage to teen idol Tommy Sands, 1960 to 1965, also sidelined her career. By 1965, Reprise was reportedly close to dropping her. The turning point came via Lee Hazelwood, a songwriter-producer approached by Frank Sr. to revitalize Nancy's career. Hazelwood's approach was radical. He encouraged Nancy to sing in a much lower key, tapping into a richer vocal quality. He crafted a new, tougher persona, famously advising, "You have to sing for the truckers." This resonated with Nancy, especially after her divorce. This reinvention included a striking image overhaul, bleached blonde hair, frosted lipstick, dramatic makeup, and Carnaby Street fashion, a tough and sexy image. The result was the 1966 smash hit, "These Boots Are Made for Walkin'." Written by Hazelwood, it became a transatlantic number, won, earned Grammy nominations, and sold over 1 million copies. The promotional clip with Nancy in iconic high boots became a defining visual of the swinging 60s. This breakthrough finally established her as a major artist. Nancy's early struggles highlight that privilege isn't enough. Authenticity and the right creative partnership are key. After Boots, Nancy released a string of hits in 1966 to 67, including How Does That Grab You Darlin' and Sugar Town. In 1967, her duet with Frank Sinatra Sr., Something Stupid, hit #1, won worldwide, making them the only father-daughter duo to top the Billboard Hot 100. Some DJs dubbed it the incest song, which Nancy felt added to its notoriety. Her partnership with Lee Hazelwood also produced memorable duets like Sand, Summer Wine, the psychedelic Some Velvet Morning, and Jackson. Their collaborative albums explored a rich mix of genres. Nancy's vocal style became a commanding contralto, and her music fused rock, country, and pop. She also delivered the iconic theme for the James Bond film You Only Live Twice, and her cover of Cher's Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down, gained later fame in Kill Bill. Voller first, her albums like Boots often featured the Wrecking Crew. Nancy also cultivated a significant film and television presence. Her film career, mainly 1964 to 1968, included beach party movies, The Ghost in the Invisible Bikini, the countercultural biker film The Wild Angels with Peter Fonda, and co-starring with Elvis Presley in Speedway. These roles made her a top female box office draw for 2 years. On TV, after debuting on her father's shows, she frequented popular variety and drama series. Her 1967 self-produced TV special, Movin' with Nancy, won an Emmy and earned Golden Globe nominations. Later appearances included China Beach and The Sopranos. Her screen work amplified her pop culture icon status. Nancy's image was as impactful as her music. Go-go boots became her trademark. Her overall look, big hair, miniskirts, bold makeup, defined swinging 60s cool. This tough girl persona was influential, seen as a precursor to women's liberation, making her the first rebel chick pop rock singer. She was a Vietnam War pinup, and later identified as a feminist. This image was consciously crafted after her divorce and early career stumbles. At 54, she posed for Playboy in 1995 to fund and promote a comeback album, a move her father pragmatically supported. Being a Sinatra was complex. Frank Sr. was supportive, advising her to find her own style. He started her label and got Hazelwood involved. But the Frank's Kid label and accusations of nepotism were constant, though his status also shielded her from some industry misogyny. She and her siblings shared the unique experience of growing up under an icon's shadow. Nancy married Tommy Sands, 1960 to 1965, and later Hugh Lambert, 1970 until his death in 1985, with whom she had 2 daughters, AJ and Amanda, stepping back briefly for family. Her 1995 comeback album, One More Time, was audaciously promoted with her Playboy spread. She continued recording, including a 2004 self-titled album with contemporary artists like Morrissey and U2 members. Light in the Attic Records has been reissuing her classics. She hosted radio shows and managed her family's legacy. Her passionate advocacy for U.S. veterans and various charities remains a significant part of her life. Nancy initially faced rock snobbery, with some critics attributing her success solely to her father. Her genre-blending style didn't fit neatly into the era's cultural camps. However, time brought reassessment. Younger generations and critics appreciated her work, especially her duets with Hazelwood. Rolling Stone eventually ranked Nancy and Lee as a top duo, and Pitchfork lauded their album Nancy and Lee. This shift reflects a broader appreciation for pop artistry and female artists who navigated challenging industry dynamics. Nancy Sinatra paved the way for decades of female artists. Boots kicked open doors. Artists like Madonna, Casey Musgraves, and Lana Del Rey cite her influence. She's a 60s icon whose music endures in films and TV. With a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and Boots in the Grammy Hall of Fame, Nancy Sinatra is far more than just a name. She's a cultural force who forged her own iconic status. Number 2. Francis Wayne Sinatra. Next is Francis Wayne Sinatra, or Frank Sinatra Jr., born January 10, 1944. His life was lived under his father's colossal shadow, even his nickname Young Blue Eyes, tying him to Frank Sr.'s iconic persona. The name opened doors but also set an impossibly high bar. Frank Jr., the only son, grew up as his father was becoming a megastar. With Frank Sr. often away, his mother Nancy Barbato primarily raised the children after the 1951 divorce, though Frank Sr. remained a devoted father. Frank Jr. studied music at USC, initially aspiring to be a pianist and conductor. He received extensive musical training from a young age from composers and arrangers in his father's circle, like Nelson Riddle, and even gleaned insights from Duke Ellington. Despite his skills, show promoters pushed him towards singing, capitalizing on the Sinatra Jr. name. A traumatic event scarred Frank Jr.'s early adulthood. At 19, on December 8, 1963, he was kidnapped at gunpoint from Harrah's Lake Tahoe by Barry Keenan and Joe Amsler. They demanded $240,000 ransom, which Frank Sr. promptly paid. Frank Jr. was released 2 days later. The kidnappers were caught and convicted, though Keenan was paroled after only 4.5 years due to an insanity ruling. The defense cruelly and falsely claimed Frank Jr. orchestrated his own kidnapping for publicity, a rumor that haunted him for years and added to the burden of forging his own identity. Frank Jr.'s musical career was inevitably compared to his father's. His debut album, Young Love for Sale, 1965, hinted at his father's style. He performed traditional pop, jazz, and big band. Critics often noted vocal similarities, but found his voice thinner or less charismatic than his father's. Despite this, he consistently produced work, including albums like Spice, 1971, and That Face, 2006. A pivotal phase began in 1988 when Frank Sr. asked him to be his musical director and conductor. Frank Jr. set aside solo pursuits for this role of profound musical responsibility. He had an intimate understanding of his father's style and led the orchestra in acclaimed live performances. This allowed Frank Jr. to contribute his distinct talents complementarily. After his father's death in 1998, Frank Jr. embraced being a torchbearer, performing Sinatra Sings Sinatra shows. Frank Jr. also acted, appearing in films like A Man Called Adam, 1966, and Cool World, 1992, and on TV shows including The Love Boat, The Sopranos, as himself, and providing his voice for Family Guy. These roles often leveraged his unique name and background. Frank Jr.'s personal life was more private than his father's. He married Cynthia Sinatra in 1998, divorcing in 2001. He had one son, Michael. In 1982, 2 paternity lawsuits were filed against him. Their outcomes aren't detailed in the provided information. Frank Jr. openly acknowledged the challenge of his father's shadow. In a 2012 interview, he stated, "I have never had a hit movie, never had a hit television program, and never had a hit record. I have made no mark of my own creation." His relationship with Frank Sr. was multifaceted. The role as his father's conductor was a period of significant closeness. He felt a strong responsibility to present the truth about his father, beyond polished legends. Frank Jr. remained dedicated to his father's songbook, touring regularly. He died of cardiac arrest on March 16, 2016 at 72, while on tour. He's remembered as a talented musician, skilled conductor, and devoted keeper of the Sinatra flame, providing an invaluable link to his father's music. While perhaps not achieving mainstream hit success on his own terms, he carved a respected career and a unique place in music history. Number 1. Tina Sinatra. Finally, Christina, Tina Sinatra, the youngest, born June 20, 1948. While her siblings pursued music more directly, Tina carved a distinct path, often working with quiet power behind the scenes, particularly in preserving the family heritage. Born in Los Angeles, Tina grew up with her mother, Nancy Barbato, after her parents' early divorce, though Frank Sr. remained an active presence. She took acting classes, appearing in some TV productions like a German miniseries and U.S. shows, including Adam 12 and Mannix. However, Tina herself admitted in her memoir that she lacked the ambition and confidence to become an actress, which likely guided her towards influential off-screen roles. Tina transitioned into being a theatrical agent and then a producer. Her most prominent production work directly engaged her family's story. She was executive producer for the ambitious 1992 CBS miniseries Sinatra, and later produced the 2004 remake of The Manchurian Candidate, a classic film her father had starred in. She also contributed vocals to the 1968 family holiday album. In 2000, Tina published her memoir, My Father's Daughter, offering an intimate and candid portrait of Frank Sinatra. Tina Sinatra married musician Wes Farrell in 1974, divorced 1976, and Richard M. Cohen in 1981, divorced 1983. She was engaged to actor Robert Wagner, and later had a long-term relationship with actor James Farentino, against whom she secured a restraining order in 1994. The provided information does not confirm if Tina has children. She lives in Los Angeles. Tina shared a close relationship with her father, especially in his later years, even managing aspects of his career in the 1970s at his request. Her memoir is a testament to their bond. She and her siblings collaborated on family projects and presented a united front in preserving their father's legacy, such as jointly donating his piano to UCLA. This has been Tina's most significant role. She has been a leading figure in Frank Sinatra Enterprises, FSE, since its formal establishment in 2007, and was involved prior, managing his likeness, recordings, and image. FSE's philosophy, under Tina's stewardship, is to keep it classy, developing an upscale luxury brand around the Sinatra name, respecting Frank's wish not to end up on a fucking coffee mug. She's also supportive of the Frank Sinatra Foundation's philanthropic work. Her dedication is deeply personal, driven by a commitment to uphold her father's memory and values. Each navigated the pressures and privileges of the Sinatra name differently. They faced comparisons, challenges, and personal tragedies, but each carved out their own significant space. They proved to be more than just echoes of Old Blue Eyes. They were distinct voices, each contributing to the ongoing, multifaceted story of one of entertainment's most legendary families.